Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, March the 7th, presented by Boston Hemp, Inc., Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Matt Robinson, ready to break down the Thursday NHL card. It is a huge Thursday night slate of action on tap, as per usual. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll also get to the updated trades that have taken place since the last time we talked to you yesterday as well. Quickly on yesterday, not a whole lot to say. There's not really much to say about that Sabres-Leafs game. Action-packed rivalry matchup for years, and about as dull a game as the Sabres and the Leafs have played, just in time for the TNT audience to get a Sabres-Leafs game. So bad timing there for the network, but it was just very, very stagnant plotting. It was just one of those games, too, where teams had trouble making accurate tape-to-tape passes throughout that entire game as well. I mean, it was just a really, really odd, very, very dull game. That's what it was. It actually got in overtime was pretty exciting, actually, but that was about the gist of it. The good news is we got out of it with the draw. The overs fell short, but we cashed the draw with the Sabres and the Leafs last night, and Toronto finally gets their first win of the season against the Buffalo Sabres. Austin Matthews in overtime. I guess fitting, right? American-born player on American national television last night, and he gets the game winner in overtime for a 2-1 win against Buffalo for the Leafs, who are back in action tonight against the Bruins. What a performance by Colorado last night. That was about as good as that you can see them play when they've got that puck just zipping it around in the offensive zone the way they were. It is very difficult to stop them. I think Paul Bissonnette did one of the best analytical, whiteboard breakdowns of what Colorado's doing, like that you can possibly see. They are a connected five-man unit, and man, were they ever last night. They were peppering poor Alex Lyon. It was a shooting gallery on him. He did his best to hold the fort. I thought he played great, even though it was 7-2, because he had to make some spectacular saves. It was a rough night defensively for the Detroit Red Wings in front of him. The power play got going. Hat trick Cale Makar, 4 points on the night. Incredible performance. Nathan McKinnon with 4 points as well. Just those two were dominant last night. Rantanen, all the big guns. Lehkonen scored a goal. When Colorado is doing that, and they've got the puck moving like that, and they're swarming you, and they're attacking in waves, that's about as tough as it gets in the National Hockey League to stop. And the Detroit Red Wings found that out last night. 7-2 beat down at the hands of Colorado. And in case you were wondering if the Ottawa Senators were still a fade, after the bad week they had, Washington lost, Nashville lost, Arizona lost last week, you'd think surely Anaheim trading away pieces left and right, that even this Ottawa Senators team might be able to get back in the win column against this team, this shorthanded, depleted bunch, not just by trades, but by injury. That was a depleted, very patchwork Anaheim roster last night, and sure enough, Ottawa still can't get the job done. They lose 2-1 to Anaheim, although a big part of the story was Lucas Dostal, who is now playing very, very well for Anaheim the last couple times we've seen him. But, yeah, Ottawa's just not a team you want to go with right now at all. A really bad loss, another bad loss for them last night, 2-1 to the shorthanded, depleted Anaheim Ducks in that one. Alex, thoughts on the trio of games on Wednesday?
Yeah, let's start with that Ottawa-Anaheim game, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The lack of scoring, had the under 6.5 there, cash with that. Now 12-1. Last 13 meetings between those two teams, but Lucas Dostal is the sole reason why that cashed. He was absolutely electric, and it's interesting now as we're 24 hours away from the trade deadline and teams looking for goaltenders. Could John Gibson be on the move? I think that's the biggest question you have to kind of ask with Anaheim, because Dostal definitely showed that he could be a true number one goalie that you can rely on. He's not as good as what we saw from Gibson at his highest point as a Duck, in my opinion, but I think he can give you enough to where this is a guy you can roll with for 50 games, and he gives you a chance to win. I have his ceiling much higher than I did when I first saw him with coming up with the Ducks, and the fact that he's kind of learned to grow and play in that same kind of fashion. He makes saves that are similar to John Gibson at times. He can step up. That flurry of shots that he faced late in the third period. I mean, there was a chance right at the buzzer where Otto had a shot to tie the game, and it was a Dostal's big save that came through. He made some 10-bell saves late in that contest, and he showed to me, as he's been showing from the majority of his starts this season, that this is a guy who's made that jump up, and I think he deserves a real shot as this Anaheim team continues to build and grow. They're not going to be a playoff team next year. They're still in their rebuild. But I think Dostal's the guy. You give him the confidence, give him a full camp next year and say, hey, you are our number one goalie. We will get you some backup support. Take this team as far as you can. I think that's the message that needs to be sent to Dostal from Anaheim. The Colorado-Detroit game, I mean, it's always fun seeing Detroit get blown out, even though I had the draw in that. But great win by Colorado. Cale Makar, I was stunned to find out that was his first ever hat trick. And It was interesting. He scored the second goal. They were already kind of talking about it. Said maybe he gets it. Maybe he gets it. Sure enough, he scored right on the next goal. And he's rocking and rolling right now. And it makes everything look good for Colorado, right? You wonder, you trade Bo Byram, such a talented defenseman. Well, if you got Makar playing well, and like I said, with Sean Walker, he fits in and plays a different role that's going to be needed down the stretch and needed in the playoffs. You need that grit and toughness that he brings. The trades look great just off of the fact that you have your top defenseman putting up a hat trick. If he can give you those 2-3 point nights, moving forward, and we look at all the additions you've made up front with Colorado, obviously the Avs are one of the most dangerous teams in the West. And then draw season, Toronto, Buffalo, it's a sleepy game. It's a boring game. I'm sure there's a whole lot of people who had the draw that were just kind of pouting and grouting, that there's nothing going on. But that's the whole point of draw season. These are teams that just slowed it down. They put on the brakes. They're basically riding the brake throughout the third period. There was no gas at all. And it just cruised right in. And then we saw the intensity amp up in overtime. And Buffalo's not in that kind of a spot right now. Buffalo's not making the playoffs. You should beat Toronto. That's your rival. But for the Maple Leafs, that's a perfectly played game. Low energy, nobody got hurt, nothing crazy happened, and you got 2 points out of it. So that's the beauty of draw season, and that's why when you cash in plus 380, you can live with watching a 1-1 game for a couple hours.
Yeah, I would have liked 3-2 Buffalo, as I said, because I had some team totals on the Sabres there. That would have been nice, and a Buffalo win would have been nice. But yeah, we'll take the draw. The draw is what salvaged something out of that game for me. We did hit the best game last night for me betting wise was clearly the Colorado game. We had the team total over for the Avs. We had the full game over, so it was good to have that. I know I felt that I knew I was getting cold feet for a reason on the show yesterday about the over trifecta in Anaheim. And sure enough, it was played out that I had locked it in already, though, and I'm not buying it. It was a pain in the ass to buy out of it. So I said, I'm sticking with it. And as soon as all those trades were going down, I'm like, I don't know if I feel as good. And sure enough, that one ended 2-1. Matt, any thoughts on last night from you?
Yeah, you guys hit pretty much all the points that I would make, so I won't be repetitive here. But yeah, I was on the draw in that Buffalo-Toronto game, which saved me because I was also on the over. I was hoping for a 3-3 overtime, but the draw obviously pays out a little better than what the over does. So if I had to pick one, I'd obviously take that. Yeah, Colorado's rolling. I mean, they look as scared as any team right now. Obviously getting some good pieces at the trade deadline, or I guess before the trade deadline yesterday. But yeah, and then I didn't really watch a lot of that Ottawa-Anaheim game. I was on the over, which obviously did not cash. But it was later my time. I was watching the Avs Detroit game on TNT. Again, shout out to their broadcast. It's as good as anyone as usual. Always entertaining. Getting those insights. So always a fun one. Always look forward to them in the playoffs. Obviously being a Stars fan, I love when the Stars land on TNT as opposed to ESPN, just because you get those guys in between periods. But yeah, overall, not a great day yesterday. I had a pretty good Tuesday, so hoping, Thursday being the bigger card, we get some good plays tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to this slate tonight. Just really the only trade I'm really going to bring up right now, and as far as what's happened between the end of yesterday's show and today's show, is Noah Hannafin. That's obviously the headliner. He goes from Calgary to Vegas, and sure enough, here we go with the Vegas Golden Knights again, using LTIR to their advantage. Don't be pissed at them. Don't be mad at Kelly McCrimmon. Be mad at the NHL not fixing the loophole and right now and correcting it and making this something that teams can't take advantage of. And Vegas is doing it again. And you're seeing that right now is their ability to get Noah Hannafin. And from what I've heard, they're not done yet either, Vegas. They're in on Gensel. from all indications. Not that Gensel for sure, Jake Gensel will go to Vegas, but because there's other teams definitely in the mix for his services for sure. But definitely when you look at that trade yesterday, this is a sign that Vegas is ultra aggressive. They've been ultra aggressive the last couple of years. And look, that Vegas defense has struggled lately, but that doesn't mean they can't get it back. This is still the same core that they won a Stanley Cup with on the blue line: Pietrangelo and Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore, Zach Whitecloud, Nick Hague, and now you add a Noah Hannafin to that mix. I mean, it is a ridiculously deep blue line for the Vegas Golden Knights. And like I said, I know they're having their issues right now keeping the puck out of their own net, but if the rest of that collective on the back end can get back to their regular form, and then you add Hannafin on top of that, that's still going to be absolutely potentially a blue line to be reckoned with come the Stanley Cup playoffs, no question. So Noah Hannafin, obviously the big move yesterday. There were some other trades that took place, a lot of them more of the minor variety. I know Chicago said goodbye to Anthony Beauvillier. He'll definitely be missed. He made such a huge impact for that hockey team. Can't wait for the video tribute either when he comes back to Chicago as a member of the Nashville Predators for the first time. Brandon Duhaime, who's a nice little energy, physical presence, off to Colorado. Just recently, a trade that happened about an hour ago. That's a nice little addition for them. Give them a little more sandpaper, physicality, forecheck, guy that'll be a pain in the ass to play against. So nice little depth move there for Colorado. Alex, did you want to touch on any of the trades the last 24 hours?
Well, yeah, that trade, because that one I just saw first in the chat, and then I'm reading it on Twitter and also getting a text about it. I think that's a terrible trade for the Wild. They should have tried to re-sign Brandon Duhaime. He fits the mold of this team very well. He's a Bill Guerin kind of guy. He was a Dean Evison kind of guy, but he was able to kind of transform. And, I think he got lost in the shuffle when Hines came into town. I can't imagine that they're going to keep Hines long term. I don't know what the talks are with that. It seems like maybe he might have played his way into keeping his job for a couple of years. We'll see. But I think Duhaime's the kind of guy that, and Terry in the chat saying, yeah, if he resigns with Colorado, he's going to be a guy that could end up just coming back to bite you every single time. We saw that with Ryan Hartman when he first got moved from Chicago. He went to Nashville, and then even when he went to the Wild, he just gave the Hawks fits. I just feel like that's one of those kind of moves. That's a grit guy that I think the Wild aren't going to be able to just find and easily replace. Fantastic ad for Colorado, who we've already talked about all of the pieces and things that they've done just in the last 24, 36 hours. Now adding this piece, this is a wonderful deal. So kudos to Colorado, and shame on Minnesota. I think you lost a player that you guys could have really built upon moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. Matt, I know you were talking about the Mark Stone IR is what they should be calling it now, not the long-term injured reserve. Hey, I'm telling you what, look, Vegas is public enemy number one with every other fan base right now. I get it. People are saying, oh, this is bullshit. They shouldn't be allowed to do this. They're cheating. They're cheating the system. They're cheating the salary cap. And yeah, that's all true. It is. And it's kind of sucks. And it's kind of ridiculous and not exactly kosher what they're doing. This is not me, Vegas. I'm pissed at, and it's not Vegas that people should be pissed at. Be pissed at the league for not taking care of this and stopping this from happening. Vegas has taken advantage of something they can take advantage of, and it's if you're not cheating, you're not trying. This is trying to win a Stanley Cup, and they're going to do whatever means necessary to improve the team, regardless of the consequences. So, like I say, if people are upset with Vegas maneuvering the way they are, fix the loophole. Simple as that.
Yeah, no doubt. Go ahead, Alex.
No, you go, Matt.
Yeah, I was just going to say that 100% hits the nail on the head. I hate Vegas for doing it, but I don't blame Vegas for doing it, if that makes sense. As a rival team, it sucks to see. I kind of wish Dallas would have thrown Sagan on long-term IR, picked up a big piece, and then, rolled into the playoffs. Sagan be their game one. And then I think the other sort of anger that I see from other Stars fans, including myself and really across the league, is, they're not even being blunt or secretive about it as far as different players. It's Mark Stone every season. It's the same cycle, which to me, I mean, again, I get it. I get why they're doing it. It helps their team, have a better chance of winning the cup. But to me, it kind of if he's back again, game one of the first round, it starts to dig into me, like, ethically, like, I would feel guilty, sort of faking an injury, to help my team win. Again, if he's legitimate hurt and you don't see him until the second or third round, I get it,
But first round, first game last year, that was a little, that was a little sketchy.
that was like if that happens again, I think you'll see a huge uproar as far as every other fan base, whether it's Dallas playing Vegas or the Avs or Winnipeg or whoever ends up lining up against Vegas. But yeah, those are my 2 points. I hate them for doing it, but I'm not mad at them. Like, I get why they do it. And just if Mark Stone is back game one of the first round, then to me, you start to worry about, like, ethically, like, how do you not feel like you're cheating at that point? Like, you're basically just taking a break from the season. It's sort of like the old Gronk situation where he'd come in like week 9, week 10, and then be fresher than everyone else in the playoffs, which if that's what you're doing, that's totally cool. But I don't think you should be able to be on IR if you're just like taking time away from the game. So yeah.
Don't they call this load
kind of
management
my
in the
2
NBA?
cents.
That's all this is. It's load management, and then there's a roster loophole that allows you to get money from it. That's all this is. Mark Stone, he probably is hurt all the time. We've seen Mark Stone legitimately get hurt his entire career. He's 31. He skates around like he's 41 sometimes because he has had a bunch of injuries. So you rest him.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the rest of the guys now. Alec Martinez is a 36-year-old defenseman who's blocked about 10,000 shots that I can remember. You got to rest him. He probably is actually hurt. But the loophole allows these things to happen. So, like I said, don't hate the player, hate the game. And this is the way that the system works until the CBA is changed otherwise. And you got to like I said, be in it to win it. Like I said, Dallas had a chance to do something like that. They should have gone on and taken it. Other teams have a chance to do that. You should go on and take that. This is no one's giving you anything in this league.
Yeah. So. That's right. It's a league issue, Brian. Right. That the NHL's got to come in and stop this from happening. You can't blame Vegas for taking advantage of the opportunity they have to take advantage of it.
But at the same time, though, we're talking about a guy with Mark Stone. And here's the thing: it could be the greatest guys ever because Mark Stone's always hurt, or it could be Mark Stone's actually just fucking hurt. We don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the with Tampa Bay, it was a little bit more blatant because it was like, oh, Kucherov could have came back. Stamkos could have came back much earlier than they were. They just left them on IR the rest of the year, knowing that they were going to the playoffs and knowing they were trying to go for a Stanley Cup title. That made sense because the loophole worked. In this case, it may not actually be the loophole per se. It could be an actual issue that they're trying to prevent. And that's the thing. We're talking about in the modern days, especially with strength and training and health and different things. You're it's about preventing an injury. Right. And that's what the load management NBA argument is about. These guys are trying to stretch themselves out for the long, save themselves for the long, knowing they're going to have all this condensed hockey. We talked about that gap in between the All-Star break. So there's no 5-day breaks anymore. You had all these teams playing these back-to-backs at home in Vegas and then flying to California, flying to Colorado, that up and down. So if you have the loophole there and you have a guy who does have concerns with staying healthy long-term in his career, then use the loophole.
I think definitely they're using the loophole to their advantage, and it's there. They're taking advantage of it. NHL's got to be the ones to step in and say teams will not be able to do this again. And until then, Vegas is going to have that opportunity.
And shout out to Goose in the chat. He's right that the NHLPA, they have access to all the actual medical reports. So there has to be medical back. You're talking about all kinds of fraud here in 2 countries. If you had somebody, doctors forging papers and shit. Now, not to say that doesn't happen, but you'd be talking about this, being a legal issue moving forward if there was something of this, because you're talking about compensation for work. There's all kind of other loopholes that this could go into if this is just a whole scam of we're saving a guy for the playoffs. So there's business behind this as well.
Yeah, there is. And like I say, Vegas, this is 2 years in a row. People are upset. But hey, it is what it is, and it's there, and they are doing their best to take advantage of the situation, no doubt. All right, let's get into Thursday's card. It is a big one. here, as it usually is on a Thursday. We've got ourselves, I'm counting it up right now, 12 games, an even dozen on the slate. And we begin with a rematch of a game Monday night, the same two teams back at it here once again tonight. The Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Boston Bruins. We've got Boston minus 140, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Sometimes it's not always good to bet. It's actually often not good to bet based on gut feel. But gut feel to me, crazy as it might be, Toronto, it wouldn't shock me if they win this. It's just a crazy feel to me. I'm not betting it. I don't trust them. I've seen enough now of them head-to-head against Boston 3 times this year that they've lost 6 straight times overall. The Bruins have defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs. That I ain't betting Toronto, but I certainly wouldn't be shocked if Toronto brings a much stronger effort. The back-to-back, what Alex said too, this is not a horrible back-to-back for Toronto. That was a low energy. It was not a brisk pace last night at all in that Sabres-Leafs game. It didn't really it didn't have much physicality to it either. So Toronto, from all indications, for a second night of a back-to-back, they're pretty fresh here in this matchup tonight against the Bruins. That first period look that Jay Stone is mentioning in the chat for Toronto, I don't think that's a horrible way to go. You got them coming off a loss to Boston Monday night. You would expect in the first 20 minutes they'll be fresh. They're at the most fresh, most energized. If the back-to-back is going to hit Toronto, it's going to be later in the game, not early in the game. So to see Toronto come out strong early, it would not surprise. I might even sprinkle on a first period money line with Toronto here in this game. I'm absolutely on the draw. No brainer to me to come right back to the well with the Leafs draw, the Toronto Maple draws, the Boston Bruins here going head to head. Even though we didn't see overtime Monday between these two teams in Toronto, let's not forget the 2 meetings before that in November and December. One was in Toronto, one was in Boston. Both of those went past regulation. We saw the Bruins go to overtime in their last game on Tuesday night against the Edmonton Oilers. I know Alex and I were both on the draw there with Boston and Edmonton in that game. So to me, it's a clear choice here. The draw, my favorite look in this game overall. Total is weird for me. Boston's kind of hunkered down again defensively these last 2 games against Toronto and Edmonton. I think that's been a focal point for them. We got to get back to playing good, solid team defense. They kind of lost their way when the Islanders lost, and they've had some games where they've given up goals. They have played a lot better the last 2 games defensively. Jeremy Swayman in net, who played very well against the Leafs the other night. And it looks like it's going to be Joe Woll because it was Samsonov last night. So, unless Samsonov starts back-to-back unexpectedly, we're likely going to see the same goaltending matchup we saw Monday night with Joe Woll against Jeremy Swayman. So I'm kind of neutral on the total. Sometimes with a back-to-back this quickly, the same 2 teams, if it's low and slow and low scoring like the first meeting was on Monday, sometimes I like to look for the opposite to happen. So I'll lean mildly to the over here in this game. I think maybe first period over might be the better way to approach it if you like the over in this game. Think we could see 2 goals early in the game, which I think is a possibility. But for me, maybe I'll sprinkle on first period over. Maybe I'll maybe a little sprinkle too on Toronto first period money line. But the main look for me is the draw. No question here with Leafs and Bruins. Alex, what do you think here? Toronto, Boston.
I've got 4 plays here. I like the first period over 1.5 minus $1.26. I have both teams to score in the first period plus 170. I have the draw at plus 360, and I have 3-3 correct score at 14-1. I think this is going to be kind of a more energetic paced game of what we saw Monday, but I think kind of a similar result. I think we see goals early, and I think we see things kind of slow down a bit. Teams are going to trade chances back and forth. We're going to see a lot of penalties. Might look at that over 1.5 power plays as well. If I do that, that'll be kind of a smaller look, but I could definitely see where we see some hits and we see some skirmishes after the whistles that draw some penalties, lead to some power play chances for both teams. And I like this game to go past 60 minutes. So first period over, both teams score in the first, the draw, and just taking a small shot with 3-3 correct score. And we're throwing a little smaller play on that over 1.5 power play goals. I'll get the price for that and put it in the chat.
All right, good stuff there. I agree. I like that. I like the 3-3 correct score shot that Alex has taken. That's definitely something that could end up coming to fruition. I can't say enough how important psychologically and from a confidence standpoint this game is for Toronto. Because if they lose tonight and they go 0-4 this season against Boston, 0-7 in the last 7 meetings dating back to last year if they lose again tonight to the Bruins. Knowing that this could be a first-round matchup, oh my goodness, could you imagine what the media is going to be talking about going into a first-round Leaf Bruins series if they lose tonight and go 0-4 in the regular season against the Bruins and 0-7 in the regular season against the Bruins dating back to last year, on top of all the miserable Leaf playoff history head-to-head against the Boston Bruins the last decade. Oh my goodness, the media in Toronto is going to remind them like crazy. They're going to make sure they put the in the Leafs' head before that series even begins if they meet in the first round. In the spring. What do you think here, Matt? Toronto and Boston.
Yeah, so there's 2 things I'm going to do with this game. I'm definitely on the first period over. Both teams are coming off a 2-1 overtime loss. 2-1 overtime game. I know Toronto ended up winning last night. Boston obviously lost to Edmonton on Tuesday. Prior to that, they obviously played each other. It was a 4-1 game, but ahead of that, both teams were way on the over their last handful of games. So I think what I'm going to do, given that it's a 6, I'm gonna take the first period over. So obviously I want early goals, but I'm going to hope that there's not any goals the first 4 or 5 minutes. Try and get in at that 5.5, so that if it is a 4-2 game, we make sure we hit the over. But the 3-3 obviously works either way. So I may sprinkle on the draw. I think you guys have talked me into that. But coming into the game, again, with what's on the line, 2 teams that could end up in the playoffs matched up first round, I think it's going to be fast-paced early, and I think you'll see 2 goals in the first period. So that's the play I like the most here.
And as for props in this game, I'll go back to Nyes and Bertuzzi for the Leafs. And number 1 prop for me for Boston is Pavel Zacha. Pavel Zacha, since he's been back here these couple of games, man, he's been ripping it up offensively for the Boston Bruins. So welcome back, Pavel Zacha. He has been outstanding here these last couple of games for the Bruins. So goal prop, assist prop. Hell, take a shot over 1.5 points you could with Zacha tonight. Really like what I've seen from him returning from injury for this Bruins team. Funny, for the Leaf broadcast, it'll be TSN tonight, which means it'll be Gord Miller and Mike Johnson. I'm looking forward to Gord's call tonight. I can't wait to hear him call a Max Domi goal. Ty Domi scored for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight in this game. I'm kidding. Gord Miller, by the way, who's a great broadcaster. What I'm referencing there with that little joke is the mistake he made the other night. He was doing the Montreal-Nashville game for the local TSN regional broadcast, and he called Nick Suzuki's overtime goal. He called him Ryan Suzuki, Nick's brother. Ryan Suzuki with the overtime winner. And he actually, because he's a pro and he felt bad and he doesn't like making a mistake. Nobody likes making a mistake in any profession. He went on Twitter and he said, I apologize to all Montreal Canadiens fans. I sometimes get a mental block when it comes to the Suzukis because I remember I called a World Junior Championship years ago and Ryan Suzuki, was playing in it. So, he apologized for it. He's a pro. Gord Miller's great. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard him fuck up, though. That's the shocking part. 22 years of hockey on TSN for that guy. And he did some NBC, for a few years as well during the playoffs, especially. I don't think I've heard him made a mistake. And he called Nick Suzuki, his brother Ryan, on the winner for Montreal in overtime against Nashville the other night.
It happens to the best of us. You know how long it took me before I started stopped calling Jake DeBrusk Louis?
Yeah.
like literally, it was literally like 2 weeks where I kept seeing like DeBrusk. I go, oh, Louis, and just like it's just like word vomit. So that we say a lot of names. We've seen a lot of players that just kind of happens.
Yeah. So that's why I threw it out there. Just a little ha-ha there. He'll call Ty Domi scoring for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight against the Boston Bruins. But should be a good one. Looking forward to it there in Beantown. All right, Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins. We've got Pittsburgh minus 170, home favorites, 6.5 the total, shaded to the under here in this game. Yeah, I'm going to do it again here. Didn't work out with Columbus, but you're going to make Pittsburgh a favorite in this price range. I'll take a shot against it. To be honest with you, Columbus, let's really think about that game. Pittsburgh had a 2-0 lead, blew it. Pittsburgh had a 3-2 lead, gave up a shorthanded goal to tie the game. One of the Pittsburgh goals, Eric Branson put it into his own net. So let's not act like that was a great performance from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And they got Columbus on a back-to-back, and they got Jet Greaves in net, who, I'll be honest, he had a tough night. Wasn't a great night from him by any stretch of the imagination. So, let's see them now against a Washington team. Look, I've had my issues all season with Washington. No question about that. But now we get them in a price where I'm a little more willing to take a shot with them. They are still trying to, just hang in there in the wild card chase themselves. And to me, this is just Pittsburgh still, even after beating Columbus, the other night. It's not a team that should be trustworthy laying this kind of a price. Maybe they do win again, but I'm okay taking a shot here at plus 150 with Washington. I think the over might be in play here simply because of series history. If you look at Capitals Penguins head to head, it's just unbelievable how many overs we have seen between these two teams, and it really hasn't mattered year to year. What type of roster we've seen with these two teams. We've just seen plenty of goals more often than not with these two teams. And we have seen the over cash in 2 of the last 3, in 4 of the last 6 overall. Earlier this year, January 2nd, we saw 4-3 Washington getting the win in Pittsburgh. I think I might have been on the Capitals in that game too. They were a big dog at Pittsburgh. They won here 4-3. But for me, I'm going to go Washington here and maybe a little over 1.5, over 6.5 split here in this game. Maybe the over trifecta too, but this is one where, maybe a 2-0 comes into play in the first period. So I might lay low on the both teams to score, but might look at a first period full game over split and Washington plus 150 and the draw, because obviously if I like the draw, the side in this price range, the underdog, I should say, then I got to take a little shot with the draw here as well. Alex, what do you think? Caps, Pens?
Yeah, I have a little bit of draw in pocket. This is probably my weakest draw play. That's really the only thing I like. Otherwise, this would be a pass for me. I can't trust Pittsburgh at all. And I've just had a bad read with Washington the whole year. So I got to stay away from the sides. Total, lean over. Maybe you can grab something in game. Maybe we see a little bit of a slower pace to start, and we can try and grab plus money over 1.5 and get a 5.5 laying this price. So that might be the kind of a direction I take. But with a big card tonight, this one probably misses the mark for me. So.
There's some good value in this game prop-wise as well. Alexei Protas, Hendrix Lapierre are playing with Ovi on the top line. Great value with both of them, Lapierre and Protas. You've got Sonny Milano's red hot all of a sudden for Washington. He's scoring. I think you got to look in Sonny Milano. Sonny, yesterday my life was filled with rain. Yeah, Sonny Milano. He's been great lately for the Capitals. They put this young kid in as well, once again, it looks like here, because, look, they traded Anthony Mantha to the Vegas Golden Knights, so someone's got to come into the lineup. Oshie's out. Nick Dowd's out. Anthony Mantha obviously jettisoned out of town on a trade. They've called up Ivan Miroshnichenko from Hershey, and this is a guy with great offensive talent and ability and skill. Now, he's played 4 games already. I remember taking some shots with him to score. He didn't score a goal in any of those games, but now a second, opportunity maybe for him. Yeah, Rasmus Sandin, not only birthday Damon with your angle there for him to score at plus 1,000, but he just got the contract extension. So you talk about, sometimes that gives a player an extra little pep in their step too. Not only his birthday, but Rasmus Sandin just re-upped with the Washington Capitals, extended his contract. So maybe worth a look there. And then on the Pittsburgh side, there's some good prop looks too in this game. The number one prop look is, and he's also a guy that used to play on the Capitals, Lars Eller. Lars Eller spent many years of 6 seasons, part of 7 seasons with Washington, 6 full seasons with them before going to Pittsburgh. He has been scoring lately, 2 in the last 5 games, and he is up on the top line tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins with Sidney Crosby and Rickard Rakell. So Lars Eller, to me, is definitely a goal prop value situation that stands out big time tonight in this game. Second line is Smith, Malkin, and Puustinen. You've got Puljujärvi scored the last game, so that means you'll probably won't see him score again for the next 50. But nevertheless, he's on the third line tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Maybe you look at Puustinen as well on the second line, but definitely my favorite prop tonight. And Rakell's been good lately in terms of producing, but not quite as good value with him in the plus 200 range. But Lars Eller on the top line, you can get plus 300 at FanDuel for him to score a goal tonight. And that's terrific price for a guy playing with Crosby and Rakell tonight for the Penguins. Matt, what do you think here in this one, Washington-Pittsburgh?
Yeah, this may sound a little repetitive from the last game, but I like the first period over here. I think there's going to be some goals early. Anytime these two teams play, they typically are good, exciting games to watch. Just given the history, Crosby, Ovechkin, things like that. So I'll be on the first period over, and then I'm going to try and get the live over down to 5.5 if there is not a goal in the first few minutes. I feel like they're, could very easily be 6 goals in this game. I don't hate it at 6, and I've found it at 6 on some sites, but 6.5 is a little high for me. And then typically when these two teams get together, I throw, just a couple bucks on like an OV Crosby anytime goal parlay, or maybe just each to get a point, something like that. I know they're both getting older. I know OV obviously had a slower start to the season, but has sort of picked it up as of late. And then Crosby, I saw in the chat, but I agree. He's looked a little weird the last couple of games, but he's still very relevant and it's very possible for him to get on the score sheet. So those are fun props to always play, just given the history of these two teams. But yeah, really just the first period over will be my only pregame play.
All right, good stuff there. All right, Philadelphia, Florida. The Panthers, they cannot be stopped right now from the looks of things. Minus 230, home favorite, 6 the total. That being said, it's a bit of a tricky little spot. Can they handle it? If you've been just betting against Florida in these spots where it looks like they're vulnerable, they've been making you pay for it. I mean, it's just pretty crazy to see that they haven't been tripped up in any sort of, maybe tricky scheduling spot, facing a team on a back-to-back the other night against a team that just made a coaching change. No problem for Florida. They still beat New Jersey 5-3. They get out to a 2-0 lead early in the first period. So it's just, there's no bad spot that this team can't overcome right now. The Florida Panthers are showing everyone that. They're off a 3-game road trip, 3rd game in 4 nights, back home. Philadelphia, 2 days rest, off a loss. Philadelphia, desperate for points. Spot screams Flyers that they could be live here, plus 190, but I'm not doing it. I'm not. But they did win in Florida off the All-Star break, though. It is important to remember that. Philly with a 2-1 win here in Florida. First game out of the All-Star break. But Florida, that was first game out of the break. It's going to be weird to play sometimes. I mean, definitely a Flyer spot, but I'm not rushing to fade Florida right now. Not even maybe. It's a team that's absolutely rolling. Both ends of the ice. Their defense is hands down, I think, the best in the league right now. Sergei Bobrovsky, have you seen the numbers since the All-Star break for him? Like his goals saved above average is like +8. He's got a .944 save percentage since the All-Star break, sub-2 goals against. He hasn't given up 3 goals or more in a start since the All-Star break. So it's just been a terrific run at both ends of the ice for this team. And it's why they're the team to beat in the East. They make the move to get Vladdy Tarasenko yesterday from the Ottawa Senators. He's in the lineup tonight, making his Florida debut. Not only that, he's playing with Barkov and Reinhart on the top line. So why not? Give me Vladdy Tarasenko here in his debut, make an impact. We did see him in the last couple games with Ottawa get on the score sheet too. So there's some good value there. Don't sleep on the Listerine man here. Eetu Kuhlman, Lusterinen, Anton Lundell, even on the third line. They've been chipping in some offense lately for Florida as well. So it's probably more of a prop game for me here with the Panthers and with the Flyers in this one. But yeah, there's no question that even bad spots on paper for the Florida Panthers, they've managed to overcome them and win them. We'll see if they can do that again here tonight. Alex, what do you think, Flyers, Panthers?
Yeah, so I'm going with the over duo here, which is the first period over and the full game over. First period over 1.5 minus $1.25. This is cash to 7 of the last 10 meetings and 4 of the last 5. And to give me the over 6 as well. You mentioned all those great numbers with Sergei Bobrovsky. This does kind of feel like maybe this is one of those spots where he has kind of a little bit of a flat spot. Going against the old team, I don't think that's going to matter too much. But, this is a Flyers team, like I said, they're hungry to get wins on the road. They put up the workmanlike effort that can at least challenge Florida on the road. Effort-wise, they're right there with Florida. Talent-wise, not even close. But the effort will be there. So I do expect this to be kind of a close game. I have a smaller sprinkle on the draw as well because we're getting good value as a result of how big this favorite is. And something else we'll talk about a little bit more as we get into this draw season and the end of the year. Of course, we're going to start seeing these prices fluctuate. We're seeing some books, BetMGM, for example, delivering +280s, +290s. That's garbage. Go get your draw plays somewhere else. But the thing is, you want to look at finding value in the draw number based on what we're seeing the money line price being. So you're getting a little bit higher value because Florida is such a big favorite here. So grab a little bit of draw, grab first period over, and there's a player prop that I have kind of circled. I'm bordering on whether this is going to be a bargain bin play. It's bargain bin worthy, but I'm not sure if it's going to make the cut. So I'll make it an honorable mention. If it doesn't make the official cut, mention it later on.
By the way, Flyers, keep an eye on this. There are some issues here injury-wise for them tonight. Obviously, Jamie Drysdale's out long-term, Ristolainen out long-term, Nick Seeler, although he got re-upped to a contract extension, he's out on IR. And it looks like Travis Konechny still may miss again, and Scott Lawton as well. He got banged up and in the St. Louis, or actually not banged up, but under the weather illness, and he is possibly going to miss this game for the Flyers. So could be talking about maybe a shorthanded Philadelphia team, but game time decisions for both Konechny and Lawton for them tonight. Maddie, what do you think here, Philly, Florida?
Yeah, give me a shot with Philly. I mean, if you can get it over plus 200, which I'm seeing on some sites, again, I think there's a very fair chance that Florida wins this game. It's really hard to bet against them on a 6-game heater. As far as, they've been even hotter beyond that. Obviously, they're at home, but I just think this is one of those weird nights where maybe Philly takes care of business. They get back in the win column. They need the points a lot more. I mean, Florida's in the situation where realistically they're cruising into a potential President's Cup,
President's Trophy. President's
Trophy.
There you go.
It's
hockey.
I've got a tweet up about the PGA Tour, so that's where the confusion. My buddy played in the President's Cup a few years back, but no. So the President's Trophy, and everyone knows how that curses. So maybe Florida takes a little foot off the gas. Like maybe they don't want to win the President's Trophy. I don't know. I mean, I think at the end of the day, any team would take that title, but there is some very superstitious hockey players out there, so they might be waiting on that. So. Give me the Flyers here. I'm going to sprinkle a little on the Flyers and a little on the draw because I am going to take them, obviously, like plus 200. Don't really have a feel for the total, especially given how Florida's played defensively. I would lean under, but I don't bet unders, so I won't be doing that. But yeah, I'll be on the Flyers and the draw here. I think that's my only pre-play. Why not?
Why not? Exactly. Why not? All right. Next up, we've got Calgary and Tampa Bay. I like it, though, that Matt's brave to take a shot, though, with Philadelphia in that game. All right. Lightning minus 150, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this one. The Tampa Bay Lightning, a 4-3 shootout win against Montreal on Saturday night. Again, nothing is coming easily for this hockey team right now, especially at home all of a sudden. Since beating Colorado at home on February 15th, they then lost 4 straight home games to Florida, Ottawa, Washington, and Buffalo, of all teams. And even the Montreal game, I mean, it goes to a shootout, and they win 4-3. It's a close game. It's very, very up in the air. So even then, they're just fortunate to get by. That being said, there's always these trade deadline situations involving teams where, a key component of the team is traded away, like it was for Calgary yesterday with Noah Hannafin being sent to Vegas. And you wonder what that does now that it's official. It's sinking in now. Wait a minute. We've lost, one of our best defensemen. And all of a sudden what it does to not only the dressing room, but the blue line, and I know they're still in the mix, but all of a sudden you look at what they're going to have on the blue line tonight. Rasmus Anderson's got to play more minutes. Jordan Osterley now, you're talking about him as a top pair defenseman tonight for Calgary. Oliver Shillington, Mackenzie Weegar, Joel Hanley, and Braden Pahal going to round out the blue line tonight for the Calgary Flames. It's a big loss, Hannafin, because he's been good at both ends of the ice. We know what he's going to do for Vegas and their blue line. So feels like Tampa Bay gets them tonight. I'm going to take Tampa first period puck line in this game. They've won 4 straight against Calgary at home. Calgary beat them at the Saddle Dome earlier this year, 4-2 back in December. But in Tampa, we've seen Tampa win 6-3, 4-3, and back-to-back 4-1 wins over Calgary the last 2 meetings. And I know the last time they played last year, it was 1-0 Tampa after the first period. So I do like that first period puck line on Tampa Bay. Nice plus price on that. I would lean to the full game money line too. I might sprinkle on that, but I don't love the price at minus 150. But I do think Tampa wins this game. I think it's a tricky, just overall situation for the team coming into this game tonight against Tampa Bay. First period puck line, maybe a smaller piece of the full game money line too with Tampa here in this game tonight. Alex, what do you think here? Flames, Lightning.
You know what? I'm going to take this chance with 2 games tonight. This is one of them. I like Tampa Bay in regulation, minus $1.10. We've been loving our draw season. It's been profitable for us, but
no draw tonight, says Alex.
No,
not so
no
fast
draw
with the
here.
draw here.
Yeah, no draw here. I like Tampa in this spot, and I think Tampa can take care of business. I think we're going to start to kind of see the, kind of cooling down, if you will, the Calgary Flames, the kind of more of a smoke, if you will, than flame with this team. So Tampa at home in a spot where they really desperately need to get points. I think they get 2 of them. Give me the Bolts minus $1.10 in regulation.
No draw. There we go. Yeah, Russell. See, we shock you. Alex shocks you every now and then. Throws a curveball every now and then at you. What do you think here, Matt? Calgary, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as far as Tampa Bay, but I'm going to play it a little bit differently. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay team total over 3.5. It looks like it's like right around even money, minus 105. Given Calgary's kind of in a shitstorm, they do still have a great goaltender, but I like Tampa Bay to score goals at home. I think the money line's a safe play. I think that the first period puck line is also a safe play. But yeah, give me that team total over. I think if they score 1 or 2 in the first and hit that puck line, they've got no problem cruising into 4 goals.
I might put a little something on that too. My only concern is we get 3-1 Tampa, and Markstrom plays well enough to keep them below 4, which he's capable of. But that is a weakened blue line minus Hannafin for Calgary. There's no question about that. Everyone's got to play more minutes. Jordan Osterley's a nice player. He's not a top pair defenseman. And unfortunately, it looks like he's going to be top pair tonight for the Calgary Flames in this game. So, like I say, and it's a nice situation for Tampa. They've been at home since Saturday is when they played Montreal. They've had 4 days off. They're ready to go, chomping at the bit. They've got 2 more home games after this. So it's an extended stay at home for them. So get practice time in, heal up a little bit. So it's a good situation here for Tampa. And hopefully they come out flying, which is why I like the first period puck line here tonight with Tampa Bay more than anything in this game. That being said, as far as props go, just because I'm on Tampa Bay doesn't mean I don't like some Calgary props. I mean, for me with Tampa Bay, I would really stick to the main big guns, the Catalysts, Point, Kucherov, Stamkos. For Calgary, though, I want to point out there is some value tonight. Kuzmenko on the top line now with Kadri, and Jake Peltier moving up to the top line with Nazem Kadri. So with Kuzmenko, who did score a couple goals against Seattle the other night, and then Jacob Peltier on the other flank, the other side with Kadri, there's some value, I think, with both of those guys tonight for the Calgary Flames in this matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning, no doubt. All right, next up, we've got Montreal and Carolina. The Hurricanes minus 310 home favorites, 6 the total. Hurricanes are up to something. They're going to make a trade because they just put Tony DeAngelo, Antti Ranta, and Brendan Lemieux on waivers about an hour ago. So I believe this is being done because they got some irons in the fire. Let's put it that way right now. And they should, because they've been quiet. And I think they do need to make a move. They need another forward. I think they need a little more prowess, scoring punch, maybe another depth defenseman, but especially another forward, one that can give them another little jolt offensively. So we'll see. Are they about to get Gensel? Because he's in the mix for Carolina. He's in the mix for Vancouver still. He's in the Vegas is being rumblings about Gensel and connection to Vegas. Vegas, Vancouver, and Carolina, definitely they're all in on Gensel. The question is who's going to end up getting him is the question. But, they could be up to something. Yeah, Anderson is back too for the Carolina Hurricanes. It looks like he's finally, after all this time, ready to return from IR. And it looks like that's finally going to happen. But it's expected to be Pyotr Kochetkov in net tonight. Not confirmed, but Kochetkov projected. Sam Montembeault in net for the Montreal Canadiens here tonight against this Carolina Hurricanes team. Remember, it was Jake Allen, believe it or not, who got the win for Montreal in that stunner the other night, beating Nashville, ending their 8-game win streak with a 4-3 overtime victory in that game with that crazy fluke goal they had. Don't look now, Montreal's gone to overtime or a shootout in 3 straight games coming into this matchup tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. So for that reason, I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit on the draw. I mean, I'm not sure Montreal will push it into draw territory, but we're talking about now a 3-draw streak here now for the Montreal Canadiens going into this game. I mean, I definitely think Carolina wins. They've beaten Montreal 7 straight times. They've definitely had the advantage head-to-head. I don't necessarily trust Montreal off a win. You actually go back and look, their results off a win lately have not been that good. But to me, there's not really much I'm doing with this game, side or total. Montreal's been trending over, but I don't know if that's going to continue tonight. I could see this also being lower scoring with Kochetkov in net. So just a small draw bet for me pregame. Maybe some props I'll mention in a moment, but for side or total, just a small draw bet for me here with the Habs and the Canes. Alex, Montreal, Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, at this draw price, I'm seeing anywhere between plus 410 at FanDuel to 450 at Caesars. It's worth grabbing the draw. Yeah. Can the Habs hang with the Canes long enough for 60? They possibly could. And this is a Carolina team, like I said, now with all these possible moves being made, you got to be really careful, especially talking about laying 310. You shouldn't be laying 310 with anybody, but you got to be very, very careful with Carolina, I'd say, the next 3, 4, 5 games, because there's going to be turnover, especially you start talking about a Jake Gensel kind of a move, and we start seeing 2 or 3 guys moved out of there. That's going to take some time for that team to gel. So I'm going to be a little bit kind of cautious with the Carolina games. I'm grabbing the draw strictly out of value and just kind of passing everything else.
All right. How about you, Maddie? Montreal, Carolina.
Yeah, definitely a pass for me as far as sides, totals. Even Carolina team total over is not worth the value in my opinion. It's like minus 155, minus 160. I could see it being low scoring. So really the only bet I'll be on, and I can say it now because it's not my bargain bin, although it's bargain bin worthy, is of course I'll be on a Stefan Nason anytime goal scorer prop, just because, it's Ice Guys show day. Carolina plays. It's sort of a system play at this point. So
that's true. Yeah, the Matt Robinson, when Carolina plays and he's on the show, Nason scores. That's happened multiple times. We'll see if it can happen tonight. Prop-wise, Slavkovsky I've mentioned, but I'll throw out anybody on that second line right now for Montreal. Yoel Armia, Alex Newhook, Josh Waugh. Those guys have actually chipped in lately, and you're going to get great prices with any of those 3, Waugh, Newhook, and Armia for Montreal. So I might look at a couple of goal props involving that trio tonight. For Carolina, I like Teravainen. He's heating up. He's on the top line with Aho and Svechnikov. His prices are better compared to those 2 guys. He's got goals in back-to-back games, points in 4 straight games. And look, Kotkaniemi's been banished to the 4th line, but he is playing against Montreal, his old team, the one that didn't match the offer sheet years ago to keep him. And that's why Carolina ended up getting him. So incentive will be there to score, but he is down on the 4th line, and he's been struggling, to put it mildly, here for the Carolina Hurricanes. He's got 1 goal since January 24th, over a month ago. So it's been a rough go for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. So we'll see if that angle facing his old team is enough to propel him to some better offensive output than we have seen from him in recent really over a month. Next up, we've got Edmonton and Columbus. Edmonton minus 280, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. The Blue Jackets, believe this is going to be 3rd game in 4 nights for them. They had the back-to-back with Vegas and Pittsburgh. Home win against the Golden Knights, 6-3. Road loss against Pittsburgh the next night, 5-3. And that was the game where Jet Greaves started. Tough night for him. Pittsburgh took advantage of, obviously, a team on a back-to-back, but Pittsburgh still made their mistakes, and Columbus had a boatload of chances there in that game as well. We'll see if that can carry over here to this matchup tonight with the Blue Jackets and the Oilers, even though the Oilers have certainly clamped things down defensively in a big way during this 5-game win streak. They've given up 2 goals or less in all 5 victories to LA, St. Louis, Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Boston. We'll see if they can maintain that level of defensive prowess tonight. If they are to do so, they will be doing so with Calvin Pickard in net. He'll be starting for the Edmonton Oilers. No Skinner tonight, although it's worth noting, Pickard in his last 8 starts, 7-1, 2.13 goals against, 914 save percentage. He's been good. He's been good. Can it last is the ultimate million-dollar question when it comes to Cal Pickard. But right now, he has been playing well. There hasn't been that much of a drop-off, at least at the moment, from Skinner to him. So we'll see if he can maintain that tonight. It looks like Daniil Tarasov will be back in between the pipes for the Blue Jackets. Of course, Merzlikins remains day-to-day. I was pretty sure we weren't going to see Jet Greaves tonight, so it makes sense that Tarasov is in net. hasn't been great. His numbers still aren't very good this year. 3.58 goals against, 891 save percentage, but he has allowed 3 goals or less in 4 straight starts, and he did get a victory against Vegas, although they gave him a lot of run support, to steal a baseball term, 6-3 in that victory for Tarasov and the Blue Jackets against Vegas early in the week. This is an interesting one. This really is, because for Edmonton, they are rolling along. It's a tough case to make right now to maybe step in front of them. But this spot, is one where you're coming off a huge game against Boston. You got Columbus here. Now, the next game's at Buffalo. I wouldn't say that's a big-time look ahead. But this is a tricky little spot here to me. We'll see if Edmonton can maintain their focus. One thing I want to point out, too, in Columbus, this team's had some trouble. Last 2 visits to Nationwide, 5-2 Jackets, 6-5 Jackets in both of those games. And look, when you look at Columbus, rather, their home results lately, 6-3 against Vegas, showed the ability to put in goals, 3 straight overs as well for this Jackets team. As much as this team's reverted back to, good defense, the goaltending's been solid. They've been holding teams to 2 or less. We've seen 2 straight overs in Columbus with these 2 teams. We haven't seen Edmonton lock things down defensively the last 2 trips they've made here to Columbus. So for me in this one, I'm just looking to see the last 2 meetings in Columbus. Because the full game over cashed in both of them, no question about that. The first period over, I think, might have cashed in both of them as well. Let me just check on. No, one of them was 1-0. One of them was 1-1. So yeah, I'm going to go full game over, smaller on the first period over. That's about it for me in this game with Oilers and Blue Jackets. Alex, what do you think here? Edmonton, Columbus.
This will be a live look game for me. Like you said, Edmonton has struggled in Columbus. So if we see that there's maybe a little off kilter at the beginning of the game, I think we could have time to grab first period over at a better price, maybe even plus money with 5.5, laying a price rather than 6.5. So that's the way I'm kind of attacking that from a totals perspective. Props, I'm dabbling with the idea of, and this won't be a bargain bin, I'm just going to play both of these guys and split it up with smaller units. But I'm taking a shot with that whole first Oilers goal. So this would be listed as first away team goal or first Oilers goal, depending on how your book has it. But I'm splitting it up between Zach Hyman and Leon Draisaitl. You can get plus 500 with Draisaitl, plus 550 with Hyman. Those have been your 2 guys to give you the first goals for Edmonton in the last 6 games. I mentioned the 4 or 5 streak when we cashed with Hyman. But in those 3 other games that are in that gap, it's been Leon Draisaitl to give them the first goal. So I'm just going to kind of keep it simple. Smaller shots on those 2. One of those 2 guys to give me the first goal for the Oilers. And be looking for some in-game looks on the first period and full game overs.
Yeah, definitely. I want to point out, too, with the card today, very low units for me. It's going to be, we're still going to have volume. The volume will be there in terms of the number of bets. But the wager amount per bet, it's down today compared to most days for me. And it's going to be that way tomorrow as well. Maybe even Saturday, because the players are coming in, going out. Lineups are juggled. Lineups are shuffled. You don't know who's going to play with what. You don't know if players right away or the chemistry is going to be there, or the players get in with the new team and the chemistry ain't going to be there, and they're going to be off kilter for the first couple games. So lower units, and I preach that these next few days. Very volatile around the trade deadline. Matt, what do you think here? Edmonton, Columbus.
Yeah, as Alex mentioned, this is more of a live game. I completely agree with that. There's not a ton of value on the game pregame. I don't want to take Edmonton to have to score 5 goals. I do lean Edmonton here, despite the struggles they've had in Columbus. What I might do is I might dabble with a over 2 first period at plus money, just a little bit pregame, and then see if we can get it down to 1.5 a few minutes into the game. I do lean over as well, but even on some of these sites, I'm seeing 7, obviously 6.5. It's got juice. So that's something you can look at live. If there's some pace to this game, if Columbus chips in a little bit in the first, things like that. But yeah, really the over 2 first period is all I'm going to look at pregame.
All right. Yeah. Adam Henrique with his Oilers debut. It's just a habit of mine that I dabble on the player making his debut to score and make an impact. So I did take a little Henrique. I do want to point out Zach Hyman just rolling along, just incredible stuff from him. Continues to produce. Looks like don't sleep on Fogle, McLeod, and Perry. seems like that third line for Edmonton's been generating offense, generating chances most times that they are on the ice. So no question, I think you can look at maybe some form of those three as well. They've been good as a line for the Oilers and for Chris Knobloch. All right, St. Louis, New Jersey. Devils minus 175, home favorites. The total 6.5 here in this matchup. This is one of those games, too, where usually East versus West, two teams need points, although I don't buy for a second St. Louis is making the playoffs. New Jersey, I don't buy that they're making the playoffs either. But this is like last stand for both of these teams. They have to get on some kind of win streak. I'm going to me, I could only look at New Jersey in this spot because, they are off the coaching change, and the coaching change obviously didn't work for them, but didn't work for them because they played the fucking Florida Panthers, the machine, the absolute beasts that are the Florida Panthers right now. And to be honest with you, even though they lost that game, and that's why I didn't take New Jersey, because you guys know that I always, 99% of the time, I bet the team in the first game after a coaching change. But I wanted no part of New Jersey the other night. Why? Because they were playing Florida. Road Warriors, can't be beat, dominating, still finding ways to win in tricky spots. And sure enough, Florida did the other night. But I actually liked some elements of New Jersey's game. They got down 2-0. It could have really gone off the rails for them. They battled back. They tied it up 2-2. And then Florida went ahead. They tied it up again. And then eventually Florida went up 4-3 and 5-3. But they responded. They responded to adversity 2 times in that game, New Jersey, even though they didn't win. They got down 2-0. They punched back. They got down 3-2. They punched back again. So that positive signs for Travis Green, in his Devils debut, even though they didn't win that game. And now they take a huge step down in class. St. Louis, we saw them fritter away a 2-0 lead the other night against the Islanders, 4 unanswered goals, and they lose 4-2 to the New York Islanders the other night. I definitely think it's a Devils spot. I'm going to take a little first period puck line here with New Jersey, kind of like the Tampa game. Jump on this team early, come out of the gate strong, and buck this bad trend of New Jersey giving up the first goal, especially at home. I think this is a spot for them to do it. They know they've been spotting, and they actually talked about it again after the Florida game. But Florida's Florida. This ain't Florida here, this St. Louis Blues team. So I'm going to do a first period puck line, full game puck line split. First period puck line, full game puck line split for me with New Jersey here. I just really feel like this now is the spot where we get this team 100% performance, at least as far as the coaching change is concerned. And you're not playing the Panthers anymore tonight. That should help them out quite a bit. And I think St. Louis, too, you'll start to look at that body language after that Islander game. It was not good. It was not good. They had a 2-0 lead. They lost 4-2. Worry about St. Louis maybe finally starting to fall off the radar a little bit here moving forward. What do you think here in this one, Alex? St. Louis, New Jersey.
World War II had the Battle of Midway. Here's the Battle of Mid. I'm taking the draw. These teams suck. Yeah. And there's a reason, like you said, they're playing well and they're hovering in that level of still being in the wild card race, but they're not going to make it. And they're going to fall off. And I don't trust this coaching bump at all with New Jersey. Like I said, this was just kind of a weird too late move to even get rid of Lindy Ruff. You got Travis Green here, which I don't. Do you believe that Travis Green is playing to possibly be the full-time coach here? Or that he's going
I don't
to be
think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
no.
I don't think there's a coaching bump. We saw one in St. Louis, we saw one in Edmonton, we saw one in other places. I think this is where I think that trend stops. The trend of a coach coming in and all of a sudden the team getting hot right now. If I were to play a side here, it would be St. Louis, but I don't trust St. Louis's form either. So it's the draw at plus 380, and this is a game I probably won't even watch for a second.
Yeah, I mean the draw. That was my initial thought, was the draw. But I'm thinking, you know what? This is now, because that's about as bad as you could ask for, the first game with the new coach. When you're coming off a road trip and you're facing the Florida Panthers. And I said, there's no way I'm betting New Jersey with the new coach angle. Against that team, that's no way. But now tonight, I'm going to give them one chance here to show that they can step up, win again. This is not I'm going to ride New Jersey every game, by the way. This is one night tonight. Yeah. I'm taking them against St. Louis because I think they can beat this team. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Blues. But it's not like if they win tonight, it's not like I'm back on New Jersey the next game, automatic. Not a chance. Not for sure anyway. Let's see what happens tonight. And if they lose tonight, I'm definitely not going to be on them the next game. So this is just a one-game spot for me. New Jersey, we can give you a mulligan for losing the first game and the coaching change because it's Florida. This ain't Florida. Do your job. What do you think here in this one, Matt? St. Louis, New Jersey.
Yeah, this one's tough. I mean, again, both teams technically are still in it, but I don't feel good about either of them. I think I'm going to keep it simple and just take a first period over, given that both teams, want to come out and score early. Feel if they get the win tonight, maybe they're still in the mix. I have no idea. I lean New Jersey, but I'm not going to lay $1.80 on them. I can't trust them. They looked a little better as the game went on against Florida. Obviously, the slow start, but yeah, I think I'm just going to take the first period over here. And as Alex mentioned, I probably won't be tuning in. I'll probably just be looking at my app, and if it's 1-1 or 2-0 after the first, that's all I'll care about. So
there we go, good stuff. I'm not taking them at that price. As far as the Devils, I'm taking the plus 155, by the way, with the first period puck line on them, and the plus 145 with the full game puck line with them here. Over in this game, I'm trying to look. I was not gravitating initially to the over. The games in New Jersey, 3-2 and 4-2. There was a 5-3 game in there. New Jersey, I'm not betting them under, though. That's for sure. So I'd lean over. I don't know if I'm actually going to get there with it. Like I said, I just think this is the spot for New Jersey, and if it's not, we won't touch them again. All right, next up, Buffalo and Nashville. Nashville minus 160, home favorite, 6.5 the total here in this game. Predators had the 8-game win streak snapped. Sometimes I like to bet against a team off a long win streak being snapped. Sometimes it's tough to bounce back that very next game, but I think the schedule lays out very nicely here for Nashville, catching Buffalo off the overtime loss to Toronto last night, back-to-back for them. Predators might be able to jump on the Sabres a little bit here. Eric Comrie expected to be in net for the Sabres. We'll have to see if Bo Byram is going to be here in time to make his Sabres debut. We saw that he was leaving Denver yesterday, and from all indications here, remember, he's only got to go to Nashville from Colorado because they're on this road trip. He is going to play. I'm just seeing that now. It will be Bowen Byram's Buffalo Sabres debut tonight on the blue line for them. Of course, Casey Middlestat jettisoned out the other way. So a little bit of a lineup shuffle. Dylan Cousins, Peterka, Greenway, the second line, Skinner, Thompson, and Tuck, the top line for the Buffalo Sabres. And how about the fact that they're throwing Bowen Byram right away on the top pair with Rasmus Dahlin? So right away, you're going to see him get the opportunity to play big minutes, play on a top pair situation here for the Buffalo Sabres. So very excited to see how that goes, but I'm not sure how good it's going to go for the team. I'm going to go back to the well with the bet that narrowly lost the other night, and very unfortunate. Looked like Nashville had scored the fourth goal. Again, yeah, I forgot to mention that occupancy. Alexei Toropchenko for St. Louis is worth a look in that game from a goal scoring standpoint. 2 in the last 3 games. It's a good price. I agree with that. Toropchenko for St. Louis in that game. But getting back to Buffalo, Nashville, I like Nashville team total over again. I'm going to go back to the well with that. That loss to Montreal was the first game in their last 9 where they've been held below 4 goals. Big part of that 8-game win streak was Nashville scored 4 goals in every game. I think they've probably got a good chance to get back to that 4-goal number. And you're getting a great price here. Plus 100. I'm even seeing plus 110 at some books here with this Nashville Predators team total over 3.5 tonight. I do like that. I also split with a full game over tonight. I could see after a tight game last night with Toronto, we kind of get back to a little more pace, a little more run and gun. And look, Brunette has changed Nashville this year. Remember, Nashville in years past, Hines and Trotz, low and slow, defense, goaltending. Well, now they're on an overrun right now. The 8-1 run that they've had in the last 9 games, they've had more overs than unders, this Nashville team, and they've been scoring more. So this is going to be a Nashville team total over, full game over split with the Sabres and the Predators tonight in this game. Alex, what do you think? Buffalo, Nashville.
Well, I'm gonna add that team total over, especially if I see that plus money. But I like Nashville here in regulation. Like I said, there's 2 games I like the end in regulation tonight for sure, and I think Nashville gets the job done here at home. This is a Buffalo team that I think we could be fading the rest of the way. In all honesty, this just an absolute disaster of a season. Kevin Adams, talk about people who should not have jobs at the end of the year. Kevin Adams, how he stays GM in Buffalo with the way he handled the goaltending situation, I don't understand it. He should be the first guy gone as soon as this season ends, in my opinion. But that's another story. I like Nashville here to win. I laid $1.15 on the three-way line here, and I'll also grab plus money with that over 3.5 team total.
And it has not been confirmed that it's Eric Comrie, but we're pretty sure he is going to be in net tonight on the back-to-back. 1-6, 3.87 goals against, 868 save percentage this year for Eric Comrie. 1 win and 7 starts for the Buffalo Sabres.
Which is why I'm adding that team total on.
And he has given up 4+ in the majority of those 7 starts. What do you think here, Matt? Buffalo, Nashville.
Yeah, you sold me on the team total as well. Kind of as you were talking about it, I saw that Eric Comrie's expected, looked at his numbers. So I definitely like that. But I'm going to, as trademarked on Tuesday, I'm going to go with the old over bifecta on this one and take Nashville Buffalo first period over and Nashville Buffalo over 6.5. So on both overs and the team total over.
I like it, the bifecta, because I'm not sure Buffalo gets on the board with Nashville coming off a loss the last game against Montreal. But I could see a 2-0 first period, absolutely. So the bifecta maybe a little more sense than the trifecta. Keep the both teams to score element out of it, but you can go over 1.5, over 6.5 here in this game with the Sabres and the Predators. As far as props go, the only one I'd be interested in for Buffalo probably tonight is Cousins. For Nashville, anyone on the top line, they're red hot. Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist. Cody Glass. Talked about him. Cody Glass repair, Cody Glass replace. We talked about him. He's heating up as well for this team. Yakov Trenin on the second line, of course, was traded away to Colorado. So we'll see how he go. He's not there anymore. So there's some lineup juggling right now for this Nashville team. But Cody Glass. And like I say, anyone on that top line, they've been on a roll right now for the Nashville Predators. All right, Minnesota Wild. I know Terry's in the chat. What's he think of his Minnesota Wild tonight against the Arizona Coyotes? Minnesota -140 to -145 road favorites. 6 is the total here with the Wild and the Coyotes. Minnesota coming off a 4-3 win against San Jose on Sunday. Not easy, not pretty, but effective. That's what they call it because they fell behind San Jose in that game, but they found a way to win. I ended up being on the over first period and full game, and these fuckers of the Sharks and the Wild that day decided we're not going to score in the first. We're going to explode in the second instead. So I only split that game because the first period over ended up falling short, but the full game over cashed in that San Jose, Minnesota game. We'll see if Minnesota can build on it. The playoffs are probably a pipe dream at this point, but they're not mathematically out yet. If you have any inclination of trying to make a push, you got to win here against Arizona, an Arizona team that, look, the only reason I didn't take Chicago is because it was Chicago on the road on a 20-plus game road losing streak. But it was a brutal spot for Arizona, and they couldn't overcome it, even against Chicago, losing 5-2 to the Blackhawks the other night. It's concerning, too, for Arizona. I know they won the back-to-back at the end of the road trip to snap the 14-game losing streak against Washington and Ottawa, but they just continue to give up way too many goals. I mean, the last 10 games, Arizona's given up 4 or more in 8 of the 10 games. So they have definitely had their problems defensively. I actually leaned Zona a little bit here, plus 125, but I don't know if I'll get there. What I will get there with here in this game is probably the over, maybe the first period over as well. I'll probably do both. This actually could be trifecta. So I could see Minnesota scoring. I could see Arizona getting on the board early in this game as well, knowing that they had a stink bomb the other night against the Chicago Blackhawks. So I am going to make it official here. Over trifecta, over 1.5, both teams to score first period, full game over 6 as well. Fleury and Vejmelka, the starters. The one little concern is Carter Hutton passed along that he thought Vejmelka, the arrow was pointing up on him. And I will say this about Hutton's analysis with that. He did give up 3 goals only against Ottawa on 37 shots. He played well and they won. And the Washington game, he started that game. He gave up 2 goals, and it was a terrific game. He made a couple of great saves in that Washington game. So maybe Vejmelka is trending up. But let's see him put it together one more time before I'm fully on board with that sentiment. So for me here, lean Arizona and a over trifecta for me is what I like most. Alex, what do you think here? Wild Coyotes.
Yeah, I am on the over trifecta. I laid first period over 1.5 minus $1.30. I got the over 6, and I also have both teams to score in the first. That's at plus 168 over at FanDuel. Like I said, these two goalies, I don't trust them. I get what Carter Hutton saying. Shout out to him. He's seeing some improvements in his game overall, based on what we've seen just in recent form. But overall, he has made a massive drop off, and he's a guy I simply don't trust with a team that I'm not trusting right now. Conversely, for Minnesota, Marc-Andre Fleury is always going to be competitive. Until he hangs up his skates and calls it a career, he's always going to be a battling goalie. But we've seen the decline in his game as well, and he's a much better, in my opinion, home goalie than a road goalie now these days. So that being said, I love goals here galore. Over 1.5, over 6. Both teams to score in the first period, and might dabble with some stuff in game too, some over in the second period, especially if we've seen this be kind of a schizophrenic series. A lot of higher scoring games where the scoring didn't start till second and third period, or we've seen just complete unders. If we see this one kind of have the pace, but we only get one goal like we did the last game, then I'm going to try and jump in with some more overs adjusted 4.5s, both teams to score in the second and things of that nature.
You know what I find? I find that when it's a 0-0, especially a 0-0 first period, the second period overs or both teams to score, like with the Buffalo-Toronto game last night, end up being a really good look. And, it's amazing how the second period after a scoreless first period, we get the 2 goals at least in that second frame. So that may be something you eye tonight in this game if it starts slowly. What do you think here, Matt? Minnesota, Arizona.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing regarding goals. When I saw Fleury in, I typically lean towards overs, especially if you can get it at 6. As Alex mentioned, it's not that he's a terrible goalie. It's not that he can't have big games, but you just seem to see more pucks get by him that maybe wouldn't have got past him in his Pittsburgh days, or even in Vegas. So, and then, with the Coyotes as well, especially at the mullet, I see a lot of goals. So I'll be on the over bifecta. I may dabble on both teams to score, but I kind of go back and forth. It may be something I try and play live if Arizona scores early. I may try and live both teams to score, or maybe jump on a 2 or something like that. But definitely like the first period over and game over. And Terry made a good comment in the chat. He might be potentially scratched for potential trade, but if he's not, I like a Matt Dumba goal tonight, playing his former team. So if he's in the lineup, I may dabble on that as well, but he's obviously in the mix with some trade conversations, so he may be a late scratch for that. So we'll see.
All right, we will see indeed. Matt Dumba, again, linked in trade talks indeed. We'll see if he gets dealt before tomorrow's deadline. What a fucking wild show that's going to be, no pun intended. Tomorrow, Beantown Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, an hour before the trade deadline. That'll be a lot of fun as all the last-minute trades come flying in. All right, arguably one of the games of the night for sure, Vancouver, Vegas. We've got the Vegas Golden Knights minus 115 home favorites, 6 the total. There are so many factors to consider in this particular game. Let's start with the fact that Vegas is coming back home off a very long, very grueling, very exhausting road trip. A road trip that was, 5 games long, and it was packed as far as games in a condensed period of time. On that road trip, they ended up playing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5 games in 9 nights. Through Ottawa, Toronto, Boston, Buffalo, Columbus, a dismal road trip, 1-4 on that 5-game road trip for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now they're back home. It's Malinsky special off that road trip. Now there's another element. The counter argument would be, well, did we see Colorado last night make some trades earlier in the day? Yes. And how did they come out against Detroit? The dressing room was revitalized, reinvigorated. People are like, hey, look at our GM is going for it, going for another Stanley Cup, making our team better. And Detroit and Colorado just pummeled Detroit last night. And you could say maybe Vegas does the same tonight. They had Anthony Mantha. They had Noah Hannafin yesterday. 2 big additions to this Vegas Golden Knights team. Yeah, they're going to ride that adrenaline wave and that seeing the GM build this team and improve it. And now they're going to turn things around. But they're not playing good defensive hockey. And another thing to factor in, Colorado didn't have those new guys yet yesterday when they beat Detroit. there's a chance Hannafin's in the lineup tonight. Mantha's in the lineup tonight for sure for Vegas. So the difference is, chemistry was not disrupted with the new entries for Colorado last night. Maybe it is tonight a little bit for Vegas. Plus, they're not playing well. They're not defending. And even if Hannafin plays, is that going to be corrected in one night off a very long road trip that took a lot out of that Golden Knights team? And I said right from the beginning of this road trip last week, what did I say on this show? Vancouver is going to be in a bet-on spot on this road trip. They're going to get their shit together. They're going to commit to team defense. Rick Tocchet preached it after they lost to LA 5-1 at home last week. And what have we seen since then? Great team defense, shutting down Anaheim, shutting down LA. Yeah, we're close games, 1-goal victories, both of them, but they got the job done because their team defense and their structure was once again on point. And, of course, Thatcher Demko, outstanding in the last game in particular when they beat the LA Kings. So I ain't stepping in front of Vancouver. I haven't bet it yet, but I'm close to moving on Vancouver here, minus 105. Certainly that would be the side for me in this game. Throw out all the noise. That's the side for me in this game. What do you think here, Alex? Vancouver, Vegas?
Yeah, I grabbed Vancouver plus 100. Also on the draw, I sprinkled a little bit on that, but I like Vancouver in the spot more, like you mentioned. This is a different spot. Vegas, like I said, hasn't been playing the best of hockey. They will have pieces coming in. We could see some things not be completely settled in this contest. You add that in the fact of guys coming in, coming back home off the long road trip. So you got guys who've been coming back off the road, mixing with guys who are coming in from other places. Everything's just kind of discombobulated. I can see Vancouver jumping out, getting an early lead. So I also like the first period over in this minus $1.20. We've seen this cash in 7 of the last 8 meetings as well. So first period over, Vancouver at plus 100. I like it all the way up to minus $1.05, $1.10. And give me a little bit of the draw plus 350.
Yeah. I just think it's too much asking Vegas. And they've lost their bounce back privileges. And people say, oh, it's a bounce back spot now after that bad road trip too at home. First of all, the travel was grueling. They're back home off that long road trip. It's usually a negative spot. People are saying, well, it's a bounce back spot. Yeah, but they've exhausted their bounce back privileges. You had a bounce back spot against Boston after you fell down 3-0 and you got bombed in Buffalo 7-2. Oh, but it's a bounce back spot in Columbus after that 7-2 loss to Buffalo. Yeah, you exhausted that too. You lost 6-3 to Columbus. So enough with the bounce back spot. Show it to me. Until then, like I say, it's Vancouver or nothing for me in this game. Matt, what do you think here? Vancouver, Vegas?
Yeah, to be honest, it was going to be a pass game pregame. I kind of like a live over here if it gets down to 5 or 5.5. But I think Alex convinced me to jump on that first period over. I do think Vancouver comes out. If I was to take a side here, I would definitely be taking Vancouver. They've just been a bit inconsistent lately, so I just kind of go back and forth. I could very easily see them winning this game. I think it's a tough spot for Vegas, but I'll probably just jump on the first period over and see how the first period kind of plays out, and then maybe make a live adjustment from there.
Yeah, 5 goals in the last 32 shots allowed by Adin Hill, and we still like Adin Hill, but he's feeling it right now. He's struggling a little bit. Him and Demko, by the way, are going to be the 2 goaltenders here in this matchup tonight with the Canucks and the Golden Knights. This total is conflicting to me. Vegas is a dead nuts over team right now. There's no question. They can still score, but they're giving up goals in bunches. But I don't know if Vancouver's kind of the total opposite right now. Because they've gone on this road trip. They're trying to tighten up. They want to get back to 2-1, 3-1 hockey. They've shown it in the last 2 games, so it's a very tricky total. Vancouver, you want to bet under badly, but Vegas, you want to bet over badly right now. So tricky game for me, at least, when it comes to the total here. As far as props, Höglander is still on the top line, so there's still some very good value with him as long as he remains up on that top line for the Canucks. What else appeals to me here as far as props for them? But yeah, Höglander, certainly Besser has been heating up lately. Vasily Podkolzin looks like he's back in the lineup tonight with Lindholm and Garland on the third line for Vancouver. For the Golden Knights, I would say Karlsson, and I might take a shot with Anthony Mantha in his Vegas debut. Why not? He did score in his last 2 games with the Washington Capitals, before the trade. So I might take a shot there with Anthony Mantha here in his Vegas debut. All right, we got 2 games left. New York Islanders, San Jose Sharks. Islanders minus 280 road favorites. 6 the total here, shaded to the over. in this one. The Islanders, Ilya Sorokin. Look who's back in net tonight for San Jose. Guy that nearly beat Matt's Dallas Stars on Saturday night in Dallas. Magnus Corona confirmed in net tonight for the San Jose Sharks. Not Kaapo Kakkonen. To be quite honest with you, Corona's start against Dallas on Saturday was better than anything we've seen out of Kaapo Kakkonen lately. I honestly can't fault David Quinn for this move. I'm not saying Corona is someone we should trust, but he's actually maybe a slight upgrade from Kakkonen right now. I'm dead serious. Like, Kakkonen's been an absolute unmitigated fucking disgrace and embarrassment in recent games. Like, can Corona really be worse than that for the San Jose Sharks right now? I'm not so sure. They've lost 8 in a row, 7-6 against Dallas. What a crazy game that was the other night. 6-3 lead disappears, and they lose 7-6 in overtime. Islanders starting to put a nice little streak together for Patrick Waugh. 4 straight wins: Dallas, Detroit, Boston, St. Louis. Hell, 3 of those wins against very good teams that could be playoff teams: Dallas, Boston, and Detroit. So you really got to give the Islanders credit for this going into this matchup here. Keep in mind, San Jose, this is a team that could be trading away pieces. We'll see. But it looks like tonight, Barabanov's out. Couture and Hurdle are still on the IR. Eklund may miss this game. Will they, trade away Duclair, who's been on fire? If Duclair plays tonight, you got to bet Duclair props, because I've been on Duclair props now for a few games. He's got 5 goals and 8 points in the last 4 games for the San Jose Sharks. So that's a clear prop that I'm looking at as far as tonight. Anthony Duclair for San Jose. But this one, and I'm not buying in on Corona just yet. By the way, there's a revenge spot for the Islanders. If you remember, back in December, they lost at home 5-4 to the San Jose Sharks in overtime. And I remember being on the Sharks and the draw in that game. It was one of the most thrilling, exciting finishes of the season for me with a bet, having the Sharks and the draw in that game against the Islanders. But times have changed. San Jose's in a bad way right now. The Islanders are actually playing some pretty good hockey. So this, to me, is going to be first period over, full game. I don't know about no trifecta. This is bifecta, because I don't want to ask San Jose to do anything for me. But, first period over, full game over, and I'm also going to go Islanders team total at a very reasonable over 3.5, -125, -130 here in this game. Come on, Magnus Corona, 1 start against Dallas that's not enough. Let's see him play well tonight before we suddenly say Magnus Corona and what is his number still? I'm going to bring them up for the season. Still 5.22 goals against, .851 save percentage, even with the 2-goal allowance against Dallas in that last game. So that's what we're going to look at here. Over bifecta, Islanders team total over 3.5 as well. Alex, Islanders Sharks.
I like the draw here, plus 420. Yes, Magnus Corona a bum, but we got to look at what the Islanders have done in San Jose. They've struggled when they go out to the Bay, and this seems like it could be one of those tricky spots, and we're getting good value once again because of this massive line, with the Isles almost being a 3-1 favorite. So at plus 420 at FanDuel, good number, we'll grab the draw here, and I could definitely see this one being more of a higher scoring. So if you want to sprinkle like a 3-3 correct score, 4-4, we see goals going back and forth. So give me the first period and full game overs as well. That's the over duo along with the draw at plus 420.
I think I might add the draw after hearing that price, plus 420. And then I'm looking at the history, and, we've seen multiple overtime games in San Jose with these two teams. The game in Long Island went to overtime earlier this year. So, I'm going to get in on that draw, plus 420 as well at that price. What do you think here in this one, Matt? You got to see Magnus Corona Saturday night against your Dallas Stars. Can he duplicate a good effort here tonight against the Islanders?
Yeah, he doesn't have me sold quite yet, but he did play lights out. You got to give him credit for that. So I will be jumping on the bifecta as well. I think there's going to be some goals, especially by the Islanders in the first period, like the over at 6. And then you mentioned it, but I was going to mention it as well. If he's in the lineup, I know he just hired a new agent yesterday. Anthony Duclair has to be on your goal props. He's been lights out lately, but I think I just Googled an article, and he even has come out saying he thinks he's going to get moved, and time is ticking. So if he is going to get moved, I think it's unlikely he plays tonight. But if he's in, that's definitely a goal prop I'll be jumping on.
That's got to be like 10th team, isn't it? Anthony Duclair, if he gets traded again.
Yeah. Mr. Suitcase.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
he's a good depth forward for any team that is looking to make a run. Like, he's hot right now. I think he's 28 years old, something like that. So I know he's a UFA, so it's obviously more of a rental unless he finds like a long-term home. But I think, any team that can get him right now, I'd be all for it.
He's insanely streaky, though.
He is. Yeah. Like, he's on a heater of a lifetime the last 4 or 5 games. Once that heater comes to an end, you're just as likely to see him go 20 games without a point. Something like that. Like, that's often what we've seen with Anthony Duclair. Yeah, there's 3 Islander goal props that stand out big time because they're all rolling during this win streak. Brock Nelson, number 1, 100%. You got to bet Brock Nelson, too. He's feeling it for the Islanders. The other one's J.G. Pajot. J.G. Pajot has 3 goals in the last 3 games, a little under the radar. And the other one is Kyle Palmieri. He had a hat trick against Boston. He had a goal the other night against St. Louis. Those are the 3 that stand out. They're all rolling at the moment at the same time. Nelson, Pajot, Palmieri for the New York Islanders here tonight against San Jose. And obviously we got to look at Duclair, as mentioned, for the San Jose Sharks. All right, our final game of this Thursday night, which means I'll probably be ending the night the way I did the other night with Vancouver and LA played, listening to a little Nick Nixon and Jim Fox, the LA Kings broadcast. We've got, and Darrell Evans, I should not neglect him. He's between the benches. Ottawa Senators, LA Kings. We've got Los Angeles minus 190, home favorites, the total 6 in this matchup. This is going to be and I think I'm doing this with New Jersey as well on this card. I'm doing it with this game too. Give me Kings first period puck line, full game puck line against Ottawa. The Ottawa's just brutal right now. Like, you can't beat an Anaheim team that's got half the roster out last night, trading guys away like Adam Henrique, and you still can't find a way to win. Yeah, watch the Sens win. It's crazy. It is the NHL. Crazy things can happen. But the thing is, you've got LA off a overtime loss to Vancouver the other night. They're still in a situation where they need points. You need to come out strong here in this game against a team that's just faltering badly right now. What's the Ottawa losing streak has reached 5 games now. Nashville, Washington, Arizona, Philadelphia, Anaheim to start this road trip. And it's a back-to-back for them. And you got a LA Kings not only rested, but off that loss to Vancouver. No need to go into more detail. LA first period puck line, LA full game puck line. I like the first period puck line, though, a little bit more. Cam Talbot, and I know it's Jonas Korpisalo against his old team. I get it. Korpisalo's not been good this year. All right. And the team in front of him is absolutely lousy right now. So I'm not factoring that in too much. So, yeah, Kings early, hopefully Kings often as well tonight. Alex, what do you think here? Senators, Kings.
Yeah, and I'm not buying into Korpisalo playing against his old team. Keep in mind, that was a trade deadline rental move. So I don't think there's any bump there in that aspect.
Oh, yeah, DJ Smith. Oh, yeah, great. Energized. Phenomenal point. DJ Smith on the LA coaching staff now as an assistant for Jim Hiller. They know the guy got canned by this Ottawa team. You think that's win one for the Gipper? No, they want to win one because they need points. Let's not kid ourselves. But that's another factor. They see DJ Smith there on the coaching staff. Yeah, this is the team that canned him, sent him packing. Yeah, that's a nice little intangible there. Well said. Well done bringing that up.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a better angle if you're looking at for any kind of a spot in that aspect. And certainly, like I said, the way that they got rid of Smith and for him to kind of bounce back with LA, that could definitely be something where things could be jazzed up a bit more. But I like Kings to team total over 3.5. I think we see Ottawa give up goals. Whether they win the game or not is a whole different story. I'm still not sold on LA. And like I said, this could be one of those games where it goes haywire. They shit the bed, lose 6-5. So I just want them to give me 4 goals. Minus $1.16 at FanDuel. That's the only thing I'm wrong with.
The Kings don't always get me 4 goals, but I might even add the team total tonight just because of who they're playing. It's Ottawa. We're just asking them to get 4. A lot of times they'll win 2-1, 2-0, 3-1, but this could be a night to flex their muscles offensively a bit.
If you want to look at that DJ Smith angle and intangible, if this game's 3-1, they're not going to take their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
So that's where that intangible is not just, DJ Smith's the coach of the team, they're going to go win. But no, the intangible is where you work in certain things. Like, yeah, maybe look at puck line. Maybe look at the team total, because if it's 3-1, 4-1, they're not going to just ease up and just say we're settled and done. They might be that extra goal in there. So.
There's some great. I'll let Matt talk about this game first, but there are some great Kings props tonight. There's a lot of lineup changes tonight. The last couple of games, guys playing in different spots, and it's worth talking about. There's going to be some good props with value here for LA from the looks of things tonight. Matt, what do you think here? Final game, Ottawa, Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think this is a big game for LA. I won't reiterate everything you guys mentioned as far as coaching last game. Ottawa, I don't know what's going on with them right now. They're obviously sort of at that point that they're just booking their tee times for the off season. So, plus they're in Southern California. They're probably just enjoying their time, and they have to play a game of hockey tonight. So I'm all over LA. I'm kind of combining a bet from each of you. I was hard on LA team total over 3.5. Before the show even started. And then I am going to sprinkle on the LA puck line, just given the coaching factor and the fact that, as Alex mentioned, if it's 3-1, 3-2 in the third, they won't be playing to just get the win. They're just going to keep trying to pump them. So hopefully they win by a couple. And then, I'll let you get into props, but a couple I like Alex Laferriere to score. I might sprinkle a little on him and Artur Kaliev as well, because they're playing together, a couple 0-1 birth years. So, if one scores, it takes care of the other. So, and then Alex Turcotte again, playing on that top line. If he is still on that top line, he's still up at like plus 450 because he hasn't really been producing goal wise. So that's always worth a look. If they do run away with this one, you might get a couple of these props. So something to think about.
You're right. There's some, Laferriere's got 2 goals in the last 5 games. Kaliev, you mentioned him on the third line. I like Turcotte. I love the value. I know he hasn't produced, but he's with Kopitar and Byfield. He's going to get opportunities. And then you could take your pick of anyone on the second line right now. Trevor Moore, Phil Deneau, and Kevin Fiala have been outstanding here for LA. In recent games. Fiala, how many times have I talked about his goal prop lately? He's got 3 goals in the last 4 games. Phil Deneau has found his offense. Philip Deneau with 4 goals in the last 4 games for LA. And it goes without saying the steady season Trevor Moore has had for the Kings. 3 goals in the last 5 games for him, 24 on the season. So, like I say, share the wealth there with some of those LA player props here tonight in this game. All right, great stuff. That is the Thursday slate. Huge card. Am I seeing this right? 558 live viewers.
Yes.
Another
Thank you
record.
to everybody.
What's
everybody
happening
on Twitter,
here? Wow.
Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah. My goodness. Because it's only 254 on the YouTube, but it's almost 200 on the Ice Guys Twitter, over 100 on my own Twitter. So that's what's doing it right now. But we appreciate it very much. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. And again, we're here 7 days a week breaking down every NHL game from a betting perspective. Make sure you sign up at patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Again, our daily sides, totals, and player props are posted there. Each and every day, goalie charts, totals charts, bonus video content, and we will have a Patreon exclusive live betcast coming up in the month of March, available only to Patreon members. Tons of great exclusive content, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. Your $10 per month go a long way to keeping the show going long term, so sign up for $10 per month at patreon.com/iceguys. We've got our main betcast this month, Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's a great slate of games that night. Looking forward to it. DM or email Alex or me for a spot on the betcast, and we'll send you the link for it before it begins. That's Tuesday, March 26th. And last of all, make sure you check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yes, for the next 7 days, you can get 20% off right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Visit the page, click on the redeem button at the top of the page, and 20% will be taken off of your order. Anything you got, we got everything except for some caps. There are some caps that are sold out, but all the shirts, all the hoodies, some crazy weather. You probably need to get a shirt and a hoodie these days. So definitely get your shopping needs taken care of. All the stuff that's available right now, 20% off at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
That's good. And Matt's right in the chat mentioning your last Patreon exclusive betcast, Bargain Bin Best Bet Sweep on the show that day. No doubt. So exactly, it was great results, and again, and it's coming up. By the way, it's going to be more toward the late earlier part of the month of March. That betcast, not the later part, the Patreon one. So make sure you get on board and subscribe. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. All right, we will be back with Bargain Bin Special of the night and best bets right after we hear from our great sponsors, Boston Hemp. All right, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out and get 20% off all orders on the website using promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. Obviously, a huge mega 12-game slate to choose from. Alex, what do you got for Bargain Bin?
Yeah, let's go to that Florida-Philadelphia game. And somebody who just got paid today is Mr. Gustav Forsling. Got a nice little 8-year contract extension. Kudos to him. Looking at him plus 800 to get a goal tonight. So that's anytime goal for Gustav Forsling. I think he could get something worked up. Might be a little bit excited after signing those papers. Gustav Forsling plus 800 at FanDuel. Anytime goal scorer tonight for the Panthers against the Flyers. That is my bargain bin special for Thursday.
Right, that's a big price there. Gustav Forsling, Florida Panthers plus 800 for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. Matt, what do you got for us here for the bargain bin?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a superstitious guy, and I was thinking about this bargain bin while we were talking about this game, and then you made a joke that to me was a sign. So I'm going to take out in Toronto a Max Domi anytime goal tonight, plus 440. He's playing on that line with Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi's obviously been hot, so why not have Max Domi bury a dirty goal just like his old man would?
Exactly. Well, I get to hear Gord Miller say, Ty Domi scores for Toronto. I'm kidding, of course. Yeah. But that's like Ryan Suzuki the other night for the Montreal Canadiens. But there you go. Max Domi for the Toronto Maple Leafs for Matt Robinson with his best bet, or not best bet, his bargain bin special of the night for this Thursday slate. And Max Domi, you can get upwards of plus 550 at FanDuel for him to score a goal. My bargain bin special of the night, I actually did mention it earlier on the show. It's just barely enough to make the criteria as a price of plus 300 or more, but I think it makes a lot of sense. He's up there on the top line with number 87, Sidney Crosby for the Pittsburgh Penguins, facing a team he used to play with. He's been scoring a bit more lately. Let's go with Lars Eller for the Pittsburgh Penguins, plus 310 at FanDuel. I think it makes a lot of sense tonight. Like that one quite a bit. Up on the top line with Sid, plus 310. Lars Eller, Pittsburgh Penguins against his old team for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets to wrap it up. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, it's arguably one of the marquee matchups of the night. Vancouver and Vegas, Pacific Division foes getting after it. I'd like goals here early in this. We've seen 7 of the last 8 meetings go over in the first period. You're only laying $1.20 here. So give me the Canucks, Golden Knights, first period over 1.5, minus $1.20. That's my Thursday best bet.
Right, there it is. Vancouver, Vegas, over 1.5 first period. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Matt, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, the chat's probably fired up. No Stars plays tonight. No, so I think I'm going to take it to that same game with Max Domi, and I'm going to take the Toronto-Boston first period over. I think both teams will come out hot. Both have been a couple slow games, but traditionally, both of these teams want to win, especially Toronto, given the series this season. So, yeah, Toronto-Boston first period over 1.5. That'll be my best bet.
All right, Leafs Bruins over 1.5 first period. Best bet for Matt Robinson for this Thursday card. My best bet for this Thursday slate. Now, after we talked about it so much, I'm just figuring out how do I want to approach it. What bet do I want to use on this team tonight? That final game, Senators and Kings. I'm going to go with the first period puck line because it's the best price. It's the best value. Come out ready. You lost to Vancouver, hard fought, tough loss the other night. Ottawa's ripe for the picking here tonight. Plus 148 at Pinnacle for LA Kings first period puck line. Let's take that. Get the lead in the first 20 minutes. Awful loss against a dead-to-rights Ottawa team that's been miserable here these last 5 games. And a brutal loss against a depleted Anaheim team last night. So Los Angeles, -0.5, plus 148. First period puck line for my best bet for this Thursday NHL card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Yeah, I test Jimmy Murphy, Pierre Maguire in a few minutes. Make sure you give those guys some love and check them out as well. Enjoy the games and good luck on this Wednesday night, or on this Thursday night, I should say. And we will be back with you tomorrow for a Beantown Friday, 1 hour before the trade deadline on Friday. It's going to be a wild show on Friday, a wild Beantown Friday edition of the show. Very exciting. Make sure you join us then tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys.